And actually, I was part of the first MDM consulting group in the whole industry, I would say. Even before the IBM and Oracle had a master data management consulting group, we had our own. And that time I was part of TCS, a data consulting service. So that way we kind of understood, I kind of understood how to create a single view of customers and things like that, how data or customer data gets created in an organization, how it moves, how it's leakage, things like that. And that's what I still do, more like a day-to-day job kind of thing. But a couple of years back, when I looked at some of these new technologies which is coming to the market, like the mobile-to-mobile, the wearable devices, and the chip in the parking meter, those kind of things, I kind of get interested in the privacy aspect of it. One technology alone is okay. Two technologies together is really okay. But when you look at the cumulative effect of this thing, the invasiveness of it, I think that's when things get shaky, let's say. And now this is not to scare things off, but there is, we'll talk about the fear aspect of things. But there is I think that the market needs some kind of privacy solutions. It's not to stop things, but it's to find the balanced approach. That's where some of people like me, there are a few people who work in this domain, things like privacy design, etc. So we'll talk about, so we are let's say cooking stuff to find solution. And we'll not get into a lot of details, but we'll say who's cooking what, how you can be part of it, how we can like co-create some of the solutions. And the text the deck I have here is very textual, let's say. There are a lot of words in there. I'm not expecting you to read it all. But the reason I do it that way is, you may or may not be ready, or you may or may not be convinced about the need of privacy today, but you may be convinced 2 years from now, or maybe 6 years from now. Because if you look at like 10 years back, we may be doing things that we were not imagining at that time. So you may, at whatever point in time you are convinced, you can like do some research and know who is doing what, who is creating solutions, and will come and join the party, let's say. And also some of the things, the solutions we are talking about is like half. I have this before you get too excited, but again, we'll say who's cooking what kind of thing. Let's get to that. So again, I think I already talked about we are providing everything: wireless, wireline, internet, TV, health, a lot of this into all these things. Of course, big data for sure. Consumer business, partner services, the whole gamut of things. And when we talk about privacy, I think first it is important to understand the viewpoints first, because people will be coming from all kinds of angles when we talk about privacy. There is a consumer set of views, and it's true that a lot of consumers doesn't actually care about privacy, and that's true. And then there is a few that care, and then a majority that says, let's trade. They want to say, oh, give me a coupon and trade my data, they're fine, like it or not. But then there's a whole angle coming from the organization's view. Again, trade, or people don't care about privacy, everybody has their own theories about what consumers think. And people like me are coming from the angle that for anything to survive in the industry, somebody was talking about this yesterday. The gentleman from Expedia, I think, they said it should be, end of the day, it should all be about dollars. So what we are always coming for the concept to survive, to enable the privacy, we need to make money. The privacy is the concept alone has to make money, and that's why we need to convert it into a competitive advantage. Then organizations will adopt it. So it's more like a win-win kind of situation. And okay, before I go here, how many of you, maybe I can have a show of hands or something. How many of of you do not care about your own privacy in the online world. You don't care. There's only one person. I was actually expecting like 50% of the hands would go up. Okay, 50% care, 50% don't care. But that's actually good, it's better than expected, let's say. So my plan was to ask a bunch of more questions then. Like let's say if somebody is tracking you and in an organization, but one of the guy in the organization is, let's say, your neighbor. So your neighbor now where you do what you do what you do you care about it now. So the next step, you have an accelerometer. This was in news recently, right? They track your data of your heartbeat and everything. Finally, they can derive sexual activity of you. And it end up in the Google research. So if somebody Google it, they can see this. And let's say some of your relatives are tracking it. You can do it now. Now, the life is going to get crossed when it's about your kids. You have a teenage daughter, teenage boy. His privacy will cut off. That this is where sensitivity actually comes into play. Whatever you do, whatever solutions you make, now when things are going to get serious, you're going to have you don't have to say more. So my point here is people do care about privacy. It's just that we need to ask the questions, the right questions, and in context. And probably with examples, if you're talking about contract. If not, you are going to get a very wrong perception of what consumers think of their own privacy. And of course, that will lead to conflict and things like that in the future. So the solution, right? So the solution we're believing is, so if you, let's say, 2 years back I was talking to a group in Vancouver, and people were very upset when I talked about privacy. They asked me to pick a choice, there's security, there is privacy. Pick one. Because you cannot have both. They were coming from the NSA kind of angle. But last year I didn't hear about it. Last year people were saying, yeah, there are some laws around here, you just need to meet the laws. So it's all about consent. How can I get consent? All those kind of things. But this year, beginning what I saw is people start talking about privacy voluntarily. Maybe this is important, maybe people may care, but it's a minority who's talking. But what I saw yesterday here in this conference is at least 50% of the people who are presenting here talked about privacy. That means there is awareness coming. People are starting to care, industry is starting to care, and they're using the word creepiness. And actually, I'm part of the privacy office also at TELUS, and we have been implanted and asked to figure out big data privacy and stuff like that. So I actually worked not only among the architects, I also worked among the lawyers, let's say, the privacy guys. So they use this word of creepiness a lot. But now I see that it's being used in the everybody every week. So I believe this holistic solution to this problem is to give consumers choice, enable consumer consent and control, or consumer choice and control. Don't worry about the law, because I don't think legally we are going to solve this problem. Because each country has their own laws. Of course, they are very slow. It's laughably outdated, let's say, all the laws. Because you can easily circumvent all these laws. And we have this, all we have to do is, just 35-page terms and conditions, add one paragraph on 17th page, of course, nobody read it. So anyway, things like that. So the organization privacy score, what it is it basically measures how much you truly enable, the organization, how much you truly enable the consumer choice and control. We'll get into the detail of what it is. And basically, the people have a credit score, the same way organization should have a privacy score. And that's where we turn the twist into competitive advantage. We'll talk about that. So, but before we get into that, we need to get into some basic words right, or you are going to mix it all up. Again, I'm not going to get what we are proposing here. Privacy is more about policies of the organization, or should be. That's the way we should define privacy. There was somebody here from LinkedIn. He said LinkedIn won't sell the data at all. And to me, that's the best example of a privacy policy. As a policy level, at the C-suite level, they make a decision. This is what we do, right? I'm not saying every organization should do or should not do it, but that is an example of a policy, a privacy policy. But what security, that means it shows intention of the organization. I may have your data, what's my plan to do with that data? Second definition, security. What's security? Security is about the capability of the organization. It's the technical wizardry. So I made some commitment, what commitment I am making? Not making the privacy. And the security is, okay, fine, I made all the promise, but I am really bad at security. But what's the point? But this is the technical capability. And we will see how this links. The anonymization, this is a very, very loaded word because, but maybe I'm not using the Wikipedia definition. I'm using it more like a provocative, practical definition of the word anonymization. Because all the laws around almost in every country is written about based on PII or privacy, personally identifiable information. The moment it is not PII, you are off the hook. You can do what you want. So it's basically the anonymization is a process of making PII non PII. Right? That's basically what it is. But the danger in this is you may want to talk to lawyers about this because many places there's a guarantee clause, meaning whoever claims that the receipt is anonymized. Let's say, take an example, right? You are a service provider, you give it to a retailer, right? Retailer is getting, for the retailer, the service provider is only one source. He may get it from the utility provider, who has the smart meter, who measures, all these electricity usage. He knows exactly what you're eating. There was a paper on it. And then of course, they have the credit card and everything. So when you bring this data to the grain drops, I don't know how many technical guys are here, but grain drops means it basically become re-identifiable. So now who is responsible? You better make sure at least you are not on the hook for it. And it is it's a difficult thing because what we understood so far is you are responsible, not the guy who combined it. Preference and consent. Consent is basically what we use now. It's basically a yes or no question. Basically, we tell the customer, "Oh, consent for this, yes or no." That's it. That's consent is, but it's very bad. That's wrong. Let's not use as a solution. You should not. If you're trying to find a solution, you should not use that solution. Start using the preferences, meaning it is the superset of all choices you can enable. And it's more than yes or no. It's my register value is the true set of choices. Basically, I have to do a disclosure. This is not a TELUS product or something. It's out there, there's a paper on it, you can read it, there's no patent, we don't believe in that, and stuff like that. So let's compare the credit score with privacy score, privacy score with credit score. So a guy walks into a bank, asks for some money, bank knows exactly what the trustworthiness of the guy, because they have a credit score. So before the transaction happens, he knows numerically. He doesn't have to say anything or something. It's the old day. But the data is more valuable now, the new one. So what we want is when a person gives that data to an organization, or say any organization, organization has to give something quantified. 7 out of 10. It's my first reference with that data. And that's when customer knows something. Okay, this guy is worth 7. Everybody knows about 7 because it's 10 universal. Let's say it should be universal. Now, so he can go to the bank who has a score of 8 rather than say 6, if he cares. And yeah, that's basically the idea. And why do we need it? I think I just talked about it already. I think talk about big data, cloud, location-based, smart meters, and the wild card in this is Google search. You underestimate Google search when in this whole game, because this is a tool of everyone. Anybody can do Google search to find out a lot of things. And the Google Now, I don't know if you've heard of this Google Now thing. But anyway, there are many data sources. So I think this is the explosion happening. Big data is not about any of this. It's about so much rich, invasive data coming. And big data is providing a platform to analyze it or making it feasible actually cost-wise in other angles. And then the creepiness starts. If you don't get it right, I'm not again, we are not about stopping anything here, trying to do it better. And this is what some solutions are about. And if there is a relative immaturity in this area about the how we handle this thing, the governance around this whole thing. And how we are trying to take a competitive advantage is when an ad comes. Let's say, TELUS or someone who is adopting it, put an ad there saying, oh, Mr. Customer, our privacy score is 7 out of 10. It is certified by this independent third party. Actually, PM firm is billing back as a third party. And if you sell your data, fine. If you don't sell your data, don't sell that, whatever it's with you. But then we say that our competitor doesn't even have a score, meaning we actually respect you and your privacy, and we believe there's a market for it. And that will bring some trust to the customer. You get, I don't have to explain this, right? Strike a chord with the customer. So basically, the promise that this new world of technology out there, you don't have to worry. This is, you can trust us, and this is support. The moment that we believe this is coming out, the talk on privacy will change into the do of privacy. People will actually start doing, implementing design, and privacy by design, privacy engineering, those kind of disciplines get a little serious. Now this is about the what of it. It's basically a questionnaire. Global approach, we don't care about the laws. We treat all this universally. Survey-based approach. Yeah, it's very detailed. So don't think that this is a small survey. This is a very, very detailed set of surveys. It has 3 basic portions. First you check the fundamentals. That your organization, does it have a written privacy policy? Does it have a privacy officer? Does it have an accountable person? These are the fundamentals. And then the data privacy score, it categorizes the entire customer's data in our organization into 9 buckets. And based on some principles, I don't want to get into the details, but it's something like data of transaction, derived data, meaning you use an algorithm and figure out the relationship among people. Because the first data customer knows, the second data customer doesn't know. So it's derived, right? So based on the principles, we categorize data. Then there's a third portion which is more like specialized domain, the CCTV privacy, big data privacy, those other kind of things. I can actually show you the questionnaire maybe later. And who is doing this? We had, I wrote a white paper on it. TM Forum is very much interested in it. TM Forum, I don't know whether you know, but it's one of the telco associations out there. And they were very much interested. But they had a lot of smaller service providers out there. They want to initially develop a service privacy score, meaning if you have a product you're selling, you want to say that, oh, that this product is better than the other product because it has better score. So mainly service privacy score. And we did a demo in, last month in the Nice conference. And this year end we are trying to do the full thing. It's all score. But I think it's going to become more like a big data privacy score or something. You know, it may still may not be ready. Now, what's missing in this bigger equation? I believe a full organization privacy score is a product of three things. One is the intention of the organization. Second is the capability of the organization. For example, NSA, they may have the best security in the world, but do they really have the intention of respecting the privacy? I think it will be more like a 0 to 10. And then, so the last portion is, okay, do you actually do it? It's more like a audit and the day-to-day practices. This is more like a tree on how we basically assemble the privacy score. Each of the three domains is there, but again, it's again subdivided into small ones. Keep the details, you can read the paper, or you can. So this is a screenshot of some of these questionnaires. Skip on this is how we categorize the data so that you know how much of the data you share with the customer. So the idea is that many countries, including Canada, has a clause to share the information with the customer if you request it. But again, how much do we share? I think not a lot, right? But this get into that some of those angles. Again, I'll skip all this. This is a link to the white paper. Okay, I think kind of done on the first one. How much? What's time? Well, not bad. So again, this is, I was talking about a big data privacy scoring data. We don't have that score yet, but what we more have is more like best practices around it. So what we plan to do is convert these best practices into a score later, so that Now, and we are doing it by more like alignment. Like once we have a critical mass, we will align, make it score. And
you alluded to sort of a third-party certification.
Yes.
Who do you have in mind that's going to act as that third party?
At least for telcos, TM Forum is more than willing to do it. TM Forum.
Are they just within the industry, or are they independent in that?
Oh, I would like if ISO comes in.
I'm just asking whether it's self-policing within the industry that you're thinking about, or are you thinking about independent folks outside the industry?
I think it needs to be an industry body with some kind of credibility. But how we basically try to actually do the auditing, I think that's what it is by enabling transparency. They're not asking, okay, you do what you think and then you make a story. No. You do the survey, you have to put the entire survey into your website, or we are not approving. But certified, this is like early stage. Can be anybody basically certified. But at least so far, these are all guys coming. Okay, so now going this way, best practices one by one. What we've seen is, when a big data hypothesis initially starts, some of them are clear, people have a clear idea, most of them don't have a clear idea. So what we need, we should classify them clearly first. So let me take a step back. Let's say why we need to do some of these things. The big data as a platform, mostly data lakes and things like that, it brings a lot of data of the person together. When if you were doing like 25 sources in your warehouse, now we are talking about, or let's say there's a potential for it to be say 50 or maybe 100, and it is going to increase the number of sources, right? And if you get that NDM portion of that in big data right, you are going to link all these things together. And this is a very immature area in terms of governance, so the risk is high. You may get it all right, you may get lucky, but you may not get lucky either. But the impact of risk is high. And some of these platforms actually didn't originate in the security world, so there is that risk too. So overall, there is the risk factor is relatively high. That's why we are focusing on some of these privacy and security areas.
Which is certified
IIPB, yeah, we work with 25 IPQC studies, but International Association for Privacy Protection, that's what you meant, right? Yeah, that's what IIPB is. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a criteria to call to define a POC. So you can read it there. It can be synthetic data. We fast track everything, all the approvals. We don't put a lot of governance around it. So because it's just a study, but we make sure that you ask, it doesn't initiate a customer contact and things like that, because we don't know what we do. The customer will be happy with it or not. But the regular project follows a governance model. Second one is tamper-resistant law. I think this is you should not be always be able to edit it, but also keep it separately from your big data, because some of these big data platform data lakes, there are a lot of people working on the same lake, right? And to travel from one node to, if you have access to one node, and there was a paper again on that, to how easy it is to move to the next node or get access to that first node by writing a piece of smart code. So we are suggesting keep the log of the platform, because there are a lot of vendors working on the same thing, a lot of consultants coming and going. Access termination. Whenever you do access, make sure it has your termination criteria attached to that policy. Or as employees, people may come and go and all those things. Need to know basis. Don't give access to everybody under that DB, but make it person specific. Because now you can know who went there, what played. These are all like risk mitigation kind of things. Retention, this is a very hard one, because the data is coming in. There are maybe I don't think there are much laws in the US about it, but there are some places in which you need to specify how long you can keep some particular kind of data. Text data, can you keep it for 1 month or 0 weeks? But if it is about something else, expired customers, it has to be 7 years. So how long will you keep? If you bring both the sources to the same platform in your data lake, you keep it for 0 days or like 7 days or 7 years? It's just a big challenge. So what you're saying is keep it, the first one for 7 days, the second one for 7 years, and it's okay. And the software can figure out the use cases. Some use cases will be impacted, but this is overall a better thing. Synchronization. I think the privacy by design paper is giving an example of the die boarding the airline. Somebody is trying to board the airline, it is denied because for no reason. But the reason actually was a data quality issue, the wrong data. And actually it's updated in the source system, but the lake reading was not synchronized. So especially if you are plugging these big data actions to the operational processes, you need to make sure you are syncing with the source, whatever you are taking from. But if you don't do it, you don't waste your money on it. It's not right to do it. Sensitive elements. There is always, Hadoop and all these things. It can process cards, all these things. But we don't think there's a reason to store the credit card numbers and passwords in there. It's better to keep it separate, and then. What's that?
Why keep it all?
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It should not be kept. Then there's SIN numbers, driving license, all those things you can encrypt. The first one is very interesting. We have very hot and heated debate about the first one. Should we keep the contact information in there? And the reason for this was, if somebody gets hands on that data, can they send a mass like they're talking 50 million consumers, right? Maybe half of Canada. And if you're an AT&T or Vodafone, you're talking a lot of people. And if it's very easy to spam with emails, SMSs, all of them, the things without any other information, right? So we keep it there. So when we make it a guideline, meaning it's more like try to anonymize it or mask it, but view. Enterprise customers is again another one. Be very careful about the enterprise customers because you may have specific privacy contracts somewhere in the big contract you have, and I don't think you want to do analysis on the ministers, the senior levels, because or the top brass of military. Why did you do the analysis on him? And then only a good discussion with your D&D guys. Last portion, algorithms. Data quality should be addressed. This the fourth one is about data quality. Where do you make the data quality? If you do it in the big data platform, which usually is not the source, and you think you cleaned it up there, but your portals and other systems, the customer went and updated it there. So both parties now believe they have better quality data, and both are you have a troubled situation. The fifth one is more for the CSRs and things like that, because the access request, customer may say the data you have, and usually sometimes there are incidents in the CSRs brought very bad comments about the customer in the internal logs. When the access request comes, you share it, customer put it on PDF, what we are internally talking about the customer. Downloadable, I think it is more nice to have. Pretty much it. Yeah, I worked with this guy, the securities, and Shelly's got a privacy office to develop the big data best practices. I use, and these two guys, and Tomokian is the Privacy Commission of Canada, Ontario, and Jeff Jonas is the guy from IBM. They wrote a paper on the big data privacy a couple of years back actually. So that's where I started. I took that, refined that, and added it into the original thing. Yeah. Fine.
We have time for a couple of questions. Yeah.
So, how do you address the issue that you've raised several times about re-identification of data within this score? Because if you can impose these criteria on the operator or telco's information, if it's distributed somewhere else, then what do you know is going to happen downstream?
See, this is about the loaded bit of anonymization, right? What I will say is, anytime you thought you started with the real data and you anonymize it, expect it to be re-identified.
Right.
So that, let's say that's basic. So that's what we use for certain cases, that because now there's a legal clause also to guarantee some type of that, you know how it works. So but the other situation what we recommend is use synthetic data, right? Whenever you want POCs, you want even projects, you can actually create data from scratch, and it's not hard to do actually, and then use it wherever possible. So if you look at one of these, we recommend or insist POCs use synthetic data because it hasn't gone through the real governance process. So that's the only time the re-identification is not guaranteed. It may not be re-identified today, it may be re-identified when you have four more sources. But that's, I think,
We have time for one more question. All right, well, thank you, Ritesh, very much.